Congratulations. You are on a podcast today and you are looking impressive. And the great news is that people can hear you for years to come. Podcasts are evergreen. Now you want to know the bad news? The bad news is podcasts are evergreen and people are going to see you for years. Hi, this is Tom Schwab with Interview Valet, and I want to tell you something that's super important. While you might be impressive today, don't become a joke tomorrow. And let me explain what this is. Picture television. Have you ever looked back at some of those shows from the 50s or the 60s? You scratch your head and you laugh and you're like, did people even watch this crap? Well, that's the same thing they're going to be saying on podcasts, but it's not going to take 40 or 50 years. It's progressing so quickly that you can go back now, just a couple years ago, listen to a podcast and scratch your head and go, did people really listen to this? Now, some of this has been from an emerging market, right? NPR, BBC has gotten into the game. Right here in 2020, BBC just announced a separate podcasting division. You know, you've got BBC Radio, they've got BBC podcasting now. And when they came in, when NPR came into the game, they raised the bar on it. You know, a decade ago, if you said podcast, it had no respect, right? When you said podcast, it was thought of like two guys in their mom's basement. It was like Wayne's World. And honestly, that's what a lot of the quality was. You had people that were opening up their computers, using their internal microphones, and just going straight to GarageBand. For that day, it was acceptable. Today, is it acceptable to use earbuds to call in? I don't know. It might be acceptable, but I can tell you one thing. Look back on it a year from now, 2 years, people are going to laugh at you. You're going to lose respect with that. What was acceptable today will become laughable tomorrow. And I think we're seeing this very, very quickly. You look at some platforms for recording. You know, Skype used to be an acceptable platform to record on, even Zoom. And what we're seeing is the market shift very quickly to platforms like Squadcast. Now, if you've never heard of Squadcast as a podcaster, you will. It does something called in the industry a double ender, meaning both sides record their audio and their video, and then it is uploaded. So the days of having a glitch or having the video or the audio just lock up for a second, that was acceptable. Now it's not. People that are serious about this, they're using the best equipment they can. And that's what I would urge you today, to do everything you can to have the best video and the best audio. Because what is top of the line today will probably be acceptable in 4 or 5 years from now. You've got evergreen content. Make sure, if you're going to take the time to do an interview, that it stands the test of time. So there's a couple things you can do on this. Right now, look at this. Is it the middle of the summer? Is it the middle of the winter? Is it 2020? Is it 2022? I intentionally try to wear a similar, if you want to call it, uniform, so that it doesn't look like I'm in the middle of the summer or the middle of winter. Something that's classic, isn't going to change through time. If you want to call it a uniform, it's a uniform. So showing up consistently so that it doesn't look dated. The other thing is when you talk, make sure it's timeless, right? So I'll give you a hint. This was recorded just after Independence Day in the United States. Well, I wouldn't say, hey, happy Independence Day, because that means a big difference between if you're in the United States, if you're in France, if you're in other places of the country. So this idea that everybody knows that July 4th is Independence Day, that's wrong. And that's really short-sighted. Another thing is to make the lessons timely. So when you're talking about something in 2020, don't assume that everybody is going to know, oh yeah, that's the time period he is talking about. I think of Dan Sullivan, who wrote one of the great articles, as far as I'm concerned, for leadership in the pandemic of 2020. It was called Leadership Lessons for Scary Times. Someone forwarded it on to me, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, right? This is so impressive. But then you read the byline and you realize he wrote that in 2008. He was timely, but timeless. And I'd encourage you to do the same. Raise your bar, raise your standard, because you know what? The standard's going up. You're going to be judged by the times people hear you, not the time it was recorded. Make sure you're as impressive then as you were when they hit record. Has obscurity become your biggest problem? Stages have disappeared. Conferences are canceled. In-person meetings seem like a distant memory. Your prospective customers still need you. They still need to hear from you. Stop trying to break through the noise. It's not working. Get in on the conversation. Get featured as the expert guest on targeted podcast interviews. Podcasts are hot. Listenership is up 20% in 2020. Podcasts are the new digital stage. Leverage other people's established platform as a featured guest. Since 2015, Interview Valet has helped over 500 leading brands get featured on over 20,000 podcast episodes. You're the guest. We take care of the rest. Stop being the best kept secret. Find out how we can help you leverage targeted podcast interviews to get heard, to grow your brand, to grow your sales, to be recognized as the market leader.